Dear Walpole United, WFC.
Good afternoon and welcome to Anthony's prediction show on All for United WFC. I'm joined today by Connor. How are you today, Connor?
Yeah, brilliant. Obviously beating City this week, ideal preparation going into Arsenal. So yeah, still buzzing off that one, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was going to briefly mention the victory over City in the Conti Cup. It was definitely a much needed boost, I feel, after a couple of what you could have said results away from home where we felt like the goals were a bit like avoidable, easy, and that. And going into the weekend against Arsenal, it's definitely a much needed boost, and hopefully it'll give us a bit of momentum going into it, because after a Manchester derby, you don't want to be going into the weekend after a bad defeat or even a defeat against your rivals. So it just gives that boost for the whole players, and hopefully we can take that into Sunday with us. But we will discuss last weekend's results first. I will ask you a few questions along the way with certain games, and then we'll do the usual. We'll talk about this weekend's WSL fixtures with a few questions thrown in, what we reckon the experts are thinking. So we'll start with last weekend's results, and we'll start with the Spurs game first. Spurs, it was 1-1 against Arsenal. Spurs goalkeeper, Copper, or however you pronounce her, had a blinder of a game, and they were very unlucky not to win the game with the amount of saves the keeper made. When they went 1-0 up, Ashley Neville somehow managed to balloon an opportunity to go 2-0 up, which would have been curtains for Arsenal. But saying that, they got the point in the last dying embers, and Spurs knew how we felt last week. But on Spurs, obviously a great result for them. I'm going to ask, do you think they can maintain this? Do you potentially see them challenging for that final Champions League spot? What are your views, Connor?
Yeah, I think City's demise has kind of opened up and given confidence to all other teams at the moment. You're looking at Spurs and Brighton and us, potentially. And I think I can't see them maintaining it, whether that's more hope than belief. Because, I don't know. But they look... Obviously, when we played them, we hardly created a thing against them. And to be fair, Arsenal didn't create too much. There was a couple of good saves from the keeper. I think there was a couple of shots off. I think one hit the woodwork in the first half as well. But, I mean, Arsenal's bench speaks for itself anyway. When you've got the likes of the players that they could bring on, they're always going to dominate parts of the game. But Spurs, like you said there, the chance that Neville had, that puts it 2-0 and the game's done then, because I don't think Arsenal are going to come from 2 back. So, in answer to your question whether Spurs can maintain, I don't know whether this is more hope, like I said earlier, whether I actually believe it or not. But I think, like I just said at the start, I think City's demise has given confidence to a team like Spurs that this is a real chance that probably won't come around very often, that one of the top 3 have really, really dropped. So they've got the organisation there in their team. Whether they score enough goals, not too sure. I think they've only scored 9 goals this season, but they're not conceding. I think this is what I say with United. I think we can probably 1-2-0 our way to results, but we're not doing that. Whereas Spurs are doing that. They don't concede many goals, obviously. Shut us out to limited opportunities, did the same to Arsenal. So if they can stay compact in defence and keep teams out, then I don't see why they can't maintain it. I think it's just goals for them. Similar to us in some ways, isn't it? Are they going to be able to score enough to be able to win games? Or are they going to be a team of just picking up draws and things like that, which is not a bad thing because you're not losing. But it's going to be tough for them to maintain. We all know looking at last season, how things changed. Arsenal suddenly shot back up the table. We fell down the table. City obviously went on a good run, and things can change, especially after the Christmas break. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up, because there's about 3 or 4 teams now going for one place. So 3 teams are going to miss out, and hopefully it's not us. But yeah, I think from a Spurs point of view, they'll be looking at this going, it's a real opportunity. They've played us and Arsenal back to back, and they haven't lost. That's going to give them some belief that they can go against the top teams and not lose. So it's looking good for them.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. It's going to bring them massive confidence. And they got a London derby this weekend, which we will discuss later on. But before we move on to the next game, prediction time was last week, and me and John both had 3-0 for Arsenal. We were confident Arsenal were going to win. How wrong we were. So we didn't get any points in our prediction league there for that game. But we'll move on to the Everton-Man United game now. Now, it was another one where we dropped points in the league for the first time since we've played Everton in the WSL. Before that, like with Spurs, we were 3 points every game. You could have said, did Mary have both the ball in both her hands, which is always debatable, but as you saw last night in the Conti Cup game, it swings and roundabouts, because I feel like on another day, if we had a different ref, then potentially them goals against City could have got ruled out, because you never know what the refs are going to do at this level, unfortunately. But it was another frustrating point, I would say. But what were your views? Obviously, you weren't there either, were you? Is that right?
Yeah, no, I missed Everton. Yeah, so I mean, it was a weird one, wasn't it? Because I think first half it was fine. They were, on the attack, on the front foot kind of thing, and it was obviously got the goal, brilliant counter attack, and a good finish. And then in the second half, we didn't have a single shot on target. And 45 minutes to not have a shot on target, you're asking for trouble. Now, I personally think yes, she kicked it out of Mary's hands, but I'd like the keeper to be a bit stronger, and I think Mary would as well. I think her, you listen to the fans that were there, her first reaction after the game was to say sorry to the fan. I think she knew that was a mistake. You'd expected to keep it. I think Maria, obviously, yes, she could have cleared it as well, but I think she expected Mary to come for that.
Yeah,
So, yes, and I think that was what was so frustrating after Everton. That was 4 games in a row we drew from winning positions. Yeah. And it was just another, especially late on as well, it was another kick in the teeth going, we've dropped 6 points now from winning positions in the last 10 minutes. I think that, you add 6 points onto our tally we're on now.
There was a stat that came on Sky saying I think we were top or second in the list goals conceded in the final 15 minutes. Mm. And we were up there with 5, 6 or 7. I can't remember exactly what the stat was, but it wasn't good reading.
But that's what's frustrating. Because you look at us, we're on 12 points. We hang on against City. We hang on against Spurs. That was literally last 30 seconds. And you hang on against Everton. That's 6 points. We're only 1 off top. And then it looks, the complexion of the season looks completely different, then, doesn't it? But you can see 3 late goals. And, if you want to include Durham in that as well. People
aren't questioning Skinner's tactics then either if you get them extra 6 points.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's results driven. I think that's what was frustrating about Everton. Obviously, I know people have got their question marks, about Skinner's way of playing, about the width and these kind of things. But ultimately, we are not. I said this before. I think Skinner is a problem, but he's not the problem. I think we're conceding far too many goals. You can even go back as far as to say the Chelsea one. Their individual errors. And you're looking at City, it was an individual error. You're looking at Everton and Spurs as well. They're all individual errors that can be prevented. So, like I put on Twitter earlier, that that's not so bad because they can be rectified. That can be worked on. So yeah, it was frustrating. It was positive, obviously. Toon again on on the score sheet again. I think she's easily going to be in double figures by the end of this season. Just carries on and stays fit. So, Mark Thomas got some minutes. It was the front four, I guess, that fans have been crying out for. You got your number 9, you've got Russo out wide, you've got Galton on the other side, and 2 and 10. Maybe, Hansen comes into that. But, Bo Risa played as well. It sounds bad saying it's a tough game because it shouldn't have been, because we're a better team than Everton. But it's just frustrating when you draw in that manner, because I think if we would have gone behind and scored late on, there might have been some positivity coming out of the ground going, we've come from behind and drew. It's always frustrating when you're ahead and draw, so it just makes it sound worse. But yeah, hopefully, I saw some different things against City in the Cup, so hopefully some things have been rectified.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. Going on to the predictions me and John had last week, John went for a 2-1 win. Unfortunately, that didn't materialise. Me being, well, you could say Mr. Negative, or just being sensible what could have happened, went for a 1-1 draw, which I predicted correctly. So that did give me 5 points. We'll move on to Birmingham Villa. I'm not going to get you to talk about it, really. I'm just going to... It was a Midlands derby, and Villa ran out 1-0 winners. We both had Villa to win convincingly. Obviously, it was just the 1 goal. I had 3-1. John had 3-0. But we still both got 2 points for that. So we're going to move on to Brighton Leicester's result. John had 2-0, sorry. I had 3-1. But Brighton were left to leave it late. 93rd minute winner. Now, Leicester being so close to their first point of the season at Brighton, I'm not sure if you're the right person to ask this question. Cranial Gareth might have been a better option. But what do you think it's going to take for Leicester to actually get these points, like get over the line and actually put some points on the board? Because it took 83 minutes for Chelsea to break them down, which we'd always expect. The 93rd minute against Leicester, for Leicester against Brighton, and they must be thinking, what are we going to do? But I know it's a 95-minute game, however injury time is, but you've got to keep concentrated. How do you think they rectify?
Yeah. I mean, it's a killer, isn't it? And that we were speaking obviously about Spurs and their confidence with Leicester, and their confidence is not going to do them any good, because being so close and late on, it's going to be tough for them. That the only way they can turn it around, unfortunately, is by picking up a point or picking up a win somewhere. They need to find a win from somewhere or a draw from somewhere, because I've been in that position, nowhere near, high level, but when you're constantly losing games in a team, the morale each week just goes down and down and down, and you're going into the next game thinking, you go 1-0 down, think, here we go again, and you can feel it kind of going around the team then. So they need to try, and that is going to be the worst, because they were so close. Obviously, from a Leicester point of view as well, you're looking at the relegation zone. Reading seem like they're going to be clear now, so it is going to become a 2-horse battle at the bottom. Birmingham and Leicester. So it is going to come down to when they play each other. Leicester and Birmingham, that 6-pointer when they come up against each other. So how they get on against. I think that's going to be the big one when Leicester play Birmingham. They need to if Leicester are going to stay up, they need to make sure they win that, because otherwise, talking about confidence, that's going to be a big confidence blow if they can't beat the teams around them. I think they've got Everton next week, haven't they? So potentially there's a chance there for a point. They're at home at the King Power.
They did lose in the Conti Cup just last time out to them 3-1. It was the Everton manager's first game. So different game, isn't it? So,
and I'm not sure how many Leicester girls played against Durham midweek as well. But that was away at Durham. I know they won that game, but we beat Durham. We know what the pitch was like. It's a horrendous pitch, whether come back tired from that. So they just need to try and pick up a point from somewhere. But I mean, from a Brighton point of view, it's exactly what they want. They're on 15 points now, 3 ahead of us. With us to play in 2 games' time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, from their point of view, it's all about football's such a confidence game, and momentum's such a big thing in football. Brighton are now on the back of 3 consecutive wins. Everton, Tottenham, and now Leicester. If you want to be fighting for the top 3, you got to beat everyone below you almost. Not so much Arsenal and Chelsea; they're kind of in a league, a mini league of their own. So I mean, from their point of view, 15 points in the first 7 games. I'm pretty sure they took that at the start of the season, and to score late on for them as well. That's another confidence boost for them. Thinking, it shows that they'll keep fighting to the end and keep pushing and get the win eventually. And that's what good sides do. That you've seen with United over the last 20 years. That's what United do, and that's what we do to teams, and hopefully that will translate over to the women's team as well at some point. But yeah, good win for Brighton and needed if they're going to be pushing for the top 3, because you can't be dropping points at home to Leicester if you've got aspirations of the top 3, really.
Yeah, no, great points you make there, Connor. And they've got it good down in Brighton. Even the men's and the women's, they're all like the Brighton women have got their own training pitches, like ground now. So they're doing it right at Brighton. They've got a ex-England manager in Hope Powell, and she's been there a few seasons now. So you can see it's taking shape with Brighton, and they did. I've always mentioned it. Brighton are a funny team. I don't know what team they put out last 2 nights ago, but they did lose to London Lionesses in the Conti Cup. But I'm sure there was changes there going into the league this week, thinking that was more important. But moving on, I'll briefly touch on West Ham Reading. It was 2-2. Reading nicked a last-minute equaliser, which it ruined my 2-1 prediction, unfortunately. But I had 2-1. John had 1-0. So there was no points for either of us there. But I'm going to touch on the Man City-Chelsea game quickly. I didn't expect this. John didn't expect it. I went for 2-0. John went for 3-1. It was 4-0. Now, some could say City are in free fall. We know about their injury list. But it is a question to you. Do you think the injury list is keeping Gareth Taylor in a job? Do you think if it wasn't for so many injuries, he'd be out of the door by now?
Yes and no. The thing is with City, going forward, they still look fine. And against Chelsea, they created good chances and good, like a normal good City side would do. I hate to put it on one player, but it's the goalkeeper. City wouldn't be losing as many games as they are if it wasn't for the goalkeeping situation over there.
No. And they can't bring confidence out in the defence either. You have to trust your keeper, and they must. Do you think they're starting to get in that mindset now? They're thinking, oh shit, we need to block everything because God knows we don't know what the keeper's going to do here.
Yeah,
even in the Conti Cup game where for Fuso's goal, it looked like she had a comfortable catch, and even then she struggled to catch it and spilt it first, and then we thought she had got it, but obviously hadn't, or potentially it did get kicked out of her hand. But we're not going to complain because we've been on that end of that decision like that. So
yeah, the thing is as defenders as well. I've been there as a right back. If you're not confident with the players around you, you start overcompensating because you feel like you have to do more, and then that makes it worse. So you've got players like Stokes Stanway, who's kind of been playing fullback, and you've got Jill Scott at centre half. I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it? And then you've got Greenwood playing there as well. And you start overcompensating, so you start diving into tackles because you think you don't want to get beat because if a shot on goal, so you start playing higher up because you start trying to push the opposition back because you don't want them getting anywhere near the 18-yard box because they'll just shoot. So it is but going back to your original question about is the injury list keeping Gareth Taylor in a job, I think they're probably looking at it thinking probably yes, to be honest. because they do have a lot of injuries. But I go back to it. I think they've still got enough quality to be beating the teams around them. They shouldn't be on 7 points. That's for sure. They should be higher up than that. Losing to Chelsea, losing to Arsenal, that happens. Teams like that. But losing to West Ham, losing to Spurs, drawing to us, it is, you could argue that was probably a good result. Actually, thinking that went down to 10 players, but
pretty great result for them.
So yeah, they just shouldn't be getting beat in the manner that they're getting beat, I think is the big thing. And that just comes back to the goalkeeper for me. So they're still a good side. They're still not one to be looked past. When they get players back, will it make a difference? A little bit, but until they get the keepers back, I can't see it making that big of a difference. You could have an absolutely stellar back four, and if you've got a keeper behind who you don't trust and who's not making comfortable. So, I mean, I said it at the Conti game when we played them yesterday. Just put some crosses on top of her, shoot from 20 yards, but because she's not going to catch it. You saw for the Fuso goal, yes, it might have been kicked out of her hand slightly, but that's got to be the keepers. That jump on the ball, make sure it's yours and make the ref make the decision then. But it was so easy, and that's what I kept saying all game. Put some crosses on her. Every corner, I'd be standing on her. Making sure every cross is on top of her because she doesn't want it. She doesn't look comfortable in goal at all. So yeah, I think he's definitely keeping Taylor in a job because without these injuries, would they be where they are? Maybe not. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I would agree. I think, obviously, if he had a fully fit squad and he was getting these results, I definitely think City would have had him gone by now, personally. But like you said, the keeper is so important. Once they get their keeper back, she will save them points. But we better go into this week's fixtures. But before I do, after 7 games, our little prediction league me and John do every week, I won 11-6 this week. So that extends my lead to 66-49. But we're going to move on to this weekend's fixtures now. And you have Saturday game, 11:30. It's Man City v Villa, 9th v 6th, which is crazy. But saying that head-to-head, they've played each other 3 times, and City have been the winners on each occasion. Now, we know they've struggled a bit at home, City, in the league. Can you potentially see this being another one of these games where they could possibly slip up, or how do you feel it will go?
I can see City winning it personally. I think that they've got a lot in attack. Like I said a minute ago, they're conceding a lot, but they still score a lot. But the thing is, Villa aren't scoring. They've scored 5 goals in their 7 games. They're not a team that are scoring much. So I wouldn't expect Villa to pile on the pressure too much. They'll have chances, don't get me wrong. Everyone's getting chances against City at the moment, but whether they've got enough to actually take these chances, I'm not too sure. So I expect City to bounce back, if I'm being totally honest. I just think they've got too much going forward. And it's not like when you look at Brighton and Spurs, for example, teams that are pushing for the top 3, they're not conceding goals. Villa are, and they're not scoring either. So yeah, I'd expect City to bounce back just because they've got so much quality moving forward, and Villa will be under the cosh, so to speak, and kind of backs against the wall. And if you don't have an out ball, if you're not scoring at the other ends, then I've said it so many times, it doesn't fill you with confidence. It doesn't fill your back line with confidence that if you clear it, you've got a chance, because you just know as soon as you clear it, it's coming straight back. So yeah, I'd expect City to come back and win this one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know we've discussed City being a bit inconsistent, but no, I fully agree with you. Like you said, Villa are struggling to score goals, and obviously goals win you games. And I just don't feel like Villa will score enough to beat City. even if I think Villa will score, I don't know, because they are a bit dodgy at the back, City, but I still can see them keeping clean sheets occasionally. But prediction wise, what you're John's predictor this week, so no pressure. What are you going to say scoreline wise?
Oh, John, I'll do you proud. I'll go City 3-0.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't say 2, because you'd have had mine and John's telepathic thinking. Yeah, see, I've gone for 2-0. I don't think it will be as easy as that. I just think a couple of goals. Villa, they'll create a few chances, and we could say we're being brave putting none for Villa, especially we've mentioned the keeper likes to make at least a couple of mistakes a game. So it potentially could be a bit of a risk by both of us. But other than that, I don't expect Villa to score like you. So we'll move on to the big game on Sunday now. 12:15 kickoff, 51st. Now, we have beaten them once. And that was at Lee last year. Unfortunately, we couldn't be there because it would have been one of them great games if we were there. The atmosphere would have been buzzing, and I'm pretty sure last night was buzzing as well. Always is after a derby. And we've played Arsenal 4 times in total, but the other 3 times we've lost. How do we need to set up for this game if we're going to give our best chance of coming away with a win? Because Skinner always mentions the fans' energy and it gives them energy, but the fans' energy can only give so much to the players. Like, being realistic, Arsenal at the squad, they are the better team, and where they're in the league proves that their depth. They've got the players they've got. Like, they can afford to leave Miedemar on the bench, and they normally get a result because they have people like Tobin Heath and Nikita Paris. So how do you feel is the best way to go about this game?
We need to stop giving silly mistakes away. Even against City, they scored. The only 2 chances City had in the first 60 minutes were 2 missed passes from Borisa. Now, if we don't do that, we should be all right. I'm not saying all right because the quality Arsenal have got. Look at the game against Spurs. They drew that game and they didn't even bring Tobin Heath on. That's how big their squad depth is. Ridiculous.
I think she had. They were saying she had a knock.
Right, okay, so not worth the risk, really. But if from an Arsenal point of view, if Miedemar starts, if I was her, I'd be sticking myself on Mannion because Mannion's not going to beat her in the air, so that's a worry. Maria's going to need to be covering that one, if they try the long ball up to her. But we just need to be compact. It's something I'm going to mention on the fans forum on Friday night. It's going to be tough, but like I said, we need to try and be compact, but not in the way that we currently are being compact, because we're trying to be compact in a 4-4-2, and we're not going to be able to do that against Arsenal. So, yeah, composure on the ball. Let's not give silly mistakes away, and let's try and hit them on the break, because if we try and go toe-to-toe with them, we're going to be in trouble. God, the more I think about it, the more nervous I'm getting, because you just think of the quality Arsenal have got. If they don't beat us in 60 minutes, they're going to be looking to their bench going, look at how many players I've got on the bench here. So, it's going to be tough. We just need, like I said, compact, composure, all the C's, control the game. And let's not get, I know Skinner talks about it a lot with fans' energy. That is great, but I think we need to be careful not to overdo it. Into, like, what I'm trying to say is, I hope the players don't just go flying out of the blocks and try and let's everyone press forward. Let's just move 20 yards up the pitch. Just really press them, because if they do that,
burn ourselves out.
yeah, and they're just going to play through us.
Yeah, exactly. You saw, like you said, quality players, they will find them gaps behind. It's a bit like the Chelsea game where they managed to find the gaps occasionally, and they will, them teams. So I fully agree with you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It happened against City a number of times. They had massive overloads on the wings, and it came from the wingers pressing and then not having the energy to track back and help the fullbacks out. We can't do that against Arsenal. They will tear us apart. I'm more than happy with us sitting off against Arsenal and hitting them on the break, because that's what Spurs did. Worked well for them. They sat off and hit them on the break. If you're I don't like saying this as a United fan, but if they've got a better team than us at the moment, we cannot go toe to toe with them, because we will get just run apart. So yeah, I'm happy with sitting back and trying to hit them on the counter, because I think we can win that way. We can win this, but I think going toe to toe with them, trying to high press, that's a mistake.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. We've just got to, like you said, rely on the counter attack. Get that bit of luck that possibly Tottenham did get. But like you said, if we can nick a goal like Spurs, Arsenal, they did get that equaliser, but they looked like they were tiring a bit. Obviously, their Champions League commitments. But when Spurs had went 1-0 up, it was like Spurs had got that energy, and so that was probably part of it that made Arsenal look tired. Obviously, Arsenal being a quality side, will fight till the end, and obviously Miedemar scored that header. But yeah, like you said, if we go toe to toe, try and beat them at their own game, we're in for a long afternoon. But saying that, it's 90 minutes of football, anything can happen, and hopefully we'll get a good result. But saying that, what's your score prediction going to be? Are you going to be sensible, or are you going to put your Man United head on?
See, if I've got my United head on, I'm saying 2-0, but I can't see us keeping a clean sheet at all. Arsenal don't concede many. They've only conceded 3. We've conceded 11. Obviously, 6 of them against Chelsea, so 10 out with a pinch of salt. But if it's still 0-0 after 60 minutes, we'll beat them 2-1, I think.
Okay.
If not, right, my final prediction, I'm gonna say 1-1. I'm gonna go in the middle. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. As much as I'd love us to, I just can't see it.
Okay, I'd be interested to hear John's prediction on that in the comments on this one, because it'd be interesting to see if he's thinking your way or if he's going Mr. Negative like me.
Oh God,
sorry. Yeah, I know with the momentum we have from the Conti Cup, it will renew our confidence. But I still feel we haven't been doing enough in the season. I do think we will score. But can we stop doing them stupid goals? And I feel like they come around quite often at the moment. Purely for prediction purposes, I'm going 3-1 Arsenal. Now,
no.
I get shooted for this, but it's a prediction thing, isn't it? If I was not going to be realistic, then I would go, oh, we'll go to Chelsea-Birmingham in the next game. I would go, oh, Birmingham going to win this 2-0. But they're not, are they? Yeah, if you're doing a prediction thing, you got to take it into context. Now, hopefully I'm wrong, like I always say, but I was right against Everton when I said we'd draw 1-1. But maybe I should be a bit more confident and just say, yeah, Man United win with 4-0, but then that would just be being stupid. So we'll leave that out there, and people's opinions. My predictions are with my head. If they were with my heart, they would be totally different. Let's just make that clear. I'm not anti-United. I love United, and I want United to win every game. But it will be a tough one. But we'll move on to Chelsea-Birmingham now. Second v 11th. Not surprisingly, Chelsea have won 7. there's been one draw, and Birmingham have actually beaten them once when Birmingham actually did have a decent side. For me, I see this as a foregone conclusion. I know me and John have been in this situation before where we've written a team off and it's gone to backfire us, but I seriously can't see any alternative. Chelsea are just free-flowing, scoring. Birmingham don't score, or very rarely. What are your views? Are you agreeing with what I'm saying? Have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Birmingham aren't going to win this. So, because they just don't score. So, and they're not going to score past Chelsea, I can't see. Now, the thing is, Chelsea have racked up 10 goals against both Manchester clubs. So, they've scored 22 this year. 10 of those have been, so you could argue just under half have been against both Manchester teams. So, they don't score that many against the other sides. You know, they only put 2 past Leicester and needed late on against those. You know, 1-0 against Villa. It's tougher opposition, obviously, than Birmingham. And 3-1 at Brighton, again, tougher opposition than Birmingham. But yeah, this is going to be another game similar to when Chelsea played Leicester. One-way traffic. Can Birmingham stay in it? So I think if you're asking me kind of prediction-wise, I think you're looking at probably Chelsea. I'm going to go a bit higher this time because they're going to be full on confidence after beating City. I'm going to go 4-0.
Oh, 4-0. Interesting. Now, I'm putting all my confidence in Chelsea to go on a goal scoring spree this week. I've gone for a 6-0.
Oh.
But I will say to our viewers, it will only be 6-0 if Chelsea score in the first 10-15 minutes. The longer the game goes, the less, I know it sounds stupid, the less goals they're going to. I think if they break them down early, then the floodgates will open, because we know Birmingham are going to come out to try and keep it a 0-0 and keep it tight. But with an opposition like Chelsea, their quality, I feel it's just that one goal that they need early doors, and then they have to change their way they play Birmingham. If they want anything, they have to be either sensible and think, oh, well, we need to try and keep it down, or if they do want something out, try and push forward and that. But then that's leaving them vulnerable on the counter-attack. So that's why I've gone for 6-0. I think Chelsea are going to have one of them days where everything goes right for them. But we will see. Now, we'll move on to Leicester v Everton. As we've mentioned, Leicester are bottom of the league, pointless. Everton, they're certainly not in the Champions League places like Willie Kirk before he got sacked, and at the beginning of the season were wanting. They're 10th. They've only played once. That was recently in the Conti Cup. Everton ran out 3-1 winners in the new manager's first game. Can you see it being a similar sort of game, going the same way, or do you feel that Leicester can find something differently, like would playing them so close after playing them recently, would that benefit? Do you feel like that will benefit Leicester?
It's like I said earlier in the show, isn't it? I think Leicester, if they're going to pick up points, this is a game they're probably looking at going, we could get a point here at least. At home, Everton aren't in the best of form. They won a couple of games, Birmingham and Reading, but since then they've lost to Arsenal, Brighton, and drew to us. But they're tough games, so they're coming off the back of 3 non-wins. But Leicester need the confidence. They're at home, so in front of their own fans at the King Power, which could make a bit of a difference. But yeah, I think it's a tough one to predict this, because I could see Leicester getting smashed, but I could also see Leicester winning this. I don't know why. I can see this being the game where Leicester do pick up a win and do turn it around a little bit, because Everton aren't in the best of form. They do leak a lot of chances. obviously, well, not against us, but they do they do concede a lot of chances. So I mean, it's a real tough one, this one, because it's like I said, I can see it going either way. I think I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, and I am going to predict Leicester to pick up their first point in the season.
Ooh.
And say, I'm actually going to say 2-2.
Ooh, interesting. No, I'm not. I find some of yours very interesting because you're not only thinking Leicester are going to get 1, but they're going to get 2. Now, don't quote me on this, but I can't actually remember them scoring 2 in a game. But good predictions. I like the way you're thinking, but I'm going to 4. Well, you say to 4. I'm going Leicester bottom. They could potentially get a point. Like you said, it is a tough game to predict, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 Everton win. I just think Everton, they create more. That Esme against United, she's a danger, and they'll have to be careful with her. But like you said, it can go either way, and we'll see. But like you said, Leicester need to start picking up points if they're going to have any chance of surviving the season. Yes, Birmingham's going to be a massive game for them, and there must be one around the corner because they haven't played each other yet, and we're on to the 8th game. So in the next 3 games, maybe. Well, after the international break, it must be surely before Christmas. But
yeah, I think they've got Arsenal and then Birmingham, and that Birmingham game's at home as well. So, like I said, if they get to that game, still only on 0 points, that game is going to have so much pressure on it.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. But we'll move on now to Reading. Now, they have the better record, Reading. They've played each other 5 times, and Brighton haven't won a game yet. But this is a total different Reading, and this is a total different Brighton. As I've mentioned in previous shows and on other shows, Reading have lost a lot of experience this year in Farrah Williams, Agra James, and that. And I would say they're sort of in a moment where they're having to sort of rebuild a bit with a bit of experience, which I think they're lacking a little bit now. Obviously, Danielle Carter will be returning back to her former club, as now she's at Brighton. It being at Reading, it has potential for being a draw or even a Reading win, but I think Brighton are going to get their first win. Personally, I just think the results, their confidence is up. I just feel Reading, they're 8th and Brighton are 3rd. But Reading, they are a bit on the up recently. They've got a couple of good wins, which was important because they were down the bottom with Leicester and Birmingham. But how do you feel this game will go? Like I said, it could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it brief on this one because I haven't watched Reading too much this season. So I think, like I said, from a United point of view, I want Reading to beat Brighton so we can start close the gap on them. But like I said earlier, Brighton not conceding many goals. They're coming off the back of 3 straight wins. Reading are not on bad form themselves. 2 wins and a draw in the last 3 as well. So, late goal against West Ham will give them a bit of confidence moving in as well. So I think I can't look past Brighton though. Unfortunately, I think like I said, from a United point of view, I want Reading to win, but I can't see it. So I'm going to go. I think Reading will score because they are scoring a fair few. I'm going to say a 2-1 Brighton win.
We've got our first match. Yeah, I've gone for 2-1 Brighton as well. I feel, like you said, I feel Reading will score, but I just feel Brighton, with the way things are going, obviously I don't want them to win like you, but I just feel like they'll have that extra bit of more confidence the way they're going. I feel they will get their first win. Totally different teams. So for me, Brighton 2-1 win there. But fingers crossed it'll be the other way around. But we'll move on to the London Derby, the last game. West Ham are 7th, Tottenham are 4th. This is a 3 p.m. game. They've only played each other 4 times. West Ham are yet to win. There's been 1 draw and 3 Spurs wins. Obviously, it's a London derby. You mentioned earlier Spurs don't score many, but are really tight knitted at the back. Do you feel this game will be similar, where they'll keep it tight at the back and they'll nick it by the odd goal? Or do you feel West Ham? Obviously, derbies are funny old games. Form sometimes goes out the window. So it can always go either way. And I feel West Ham Spurs could go either way. But what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, funny enough, West Ham have scored a goal more than Spurs, yet they're 5 points behind them. So, you're looking at West Ham thinking they'll create chances, but whether they'll beat Spurs, again, from a United point of view, I'd like to see Spurs lose, but I can't see it again. It's weird with Spurs because they've lost to Brighton. That's their only loss all season. They've drew a couple of games, to us and to Arsenal, so they're not getting beat. They only lost to Brighton 2-1, so that they're there or thereabouts against the teams around them, and they're beating
the late goal as well.
Yeah, so they're beating the teams around them, and not losing to the teams above them in Arsenal. Well, and it was us, and then beating the teams below them. So you're looking at West Ham, sitting 7th, doing okay. They're just they're similar to Villa. They're just going to be fighting around that kind of mid-table zone. So I can see it being exactly like you said, to be honest, a snatch and grab, probably a 1-0 Spurs. I think Spurs are just not scoring many. They've scored 9 in 7, which in the WSL, when you've got teams like Leicester or Birmingham at the bottom, you'd expect to be putting a few past them. I appreciate, obviously, Tottenham have played some tough games recently, but Tottenham 1-0. I think they've got enough to keep a clean sheet. But on the flip side, I am going to stick with my 1-0 prediction, but I will just say on the flip side, I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham do get a goal, because 10 goals in 7 games, that's not bad considering the points tally they've got.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. No, I could have thought like you, but you've just said on the flip side, you can see West Ham scoring, and this is where my prediction comes in. We both mentioned they don't really score many goals each. But I feel it's going to be a 1-1 game. I feel, like you said, West Ham have scored more than Spurs, and I can see them getting a chance to score, and I think they will score one. And we know Spurs are tight at the back. Rhiannon Skinner's done a great job at doing that. But I do feel that London derby, I do feel they're going to concede Spurs. And I just 1-1, I think it will be one of these 50-50 games where it could go either way. But I think another home draw for West Ham after last weekend against Reading. But is there anything else you want to say on the game before I wrap up? Or
not like we need to beat Arsenal from a selfish point of view. We don't even need to beat them. I just think we just, after the highs of City midweek, beating them in the Conti Cup, that was important. It was important. I was more impressed, not the fact that we won, that we held on to a lead. That was important, because if we go 1-0 up against Arsenal or 2-1 up or whatever, we needed that confidence and belief in the team that we can hold on to a lead. So that was crucial that we held out. So I think from a United standpoint, we just need to make sure that we stay in the game. Let's not have a repeat of Chelsea and get absolutely walked over, because that will be another embarrassment and pressure on Skinner and negativity around the club. And it's not like we've got a game next week. It's straight into international break then, and you're going to wait 2 weeks for the next one. So
we can't go into Leicester in the Conti.
yeah, we can't go into internationals with a loss. So yeah, let's just keep it compact, keep it tight, and hopefully get a point and potentially 3. I mean, can you imagine the confidence boost if we pick up 3 against Arsenal?
Yeah, I'll be cheering from home. Unfortunately, it's another game I can't make. Like I said previously, Christmas is coming, so I've got to be a bit sensible. It's why do I do this to myself? Living down south, but become a United fan. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not. But these things, they do get expensive from time to time. But that is this prediction show done. We will wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. I believe it's fans forum tonight, and then it's the Matt and Ben show, which I believe is unfortunately pre-recorded. I believe they said that after the Matt's show on Tuesday, and then Sunday you'll have the match content with the Man United Arsenal game. But thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and hopefully we have